Yeah. I was just thinking about since you're helping people that have, for whatever reason, a lot of, I guess, a mobility limitation,
Hmm.
said for one reason or another, like if there's any good examples that come to mind, um, of kind of like big turnaround stories, or like people that really like inspired you, how it worked out. I guess I think about, um, my own grandfather who passed away last year, and he had mobility issues with just one of his legs. He'd get around, but it was tough. And I'm not sure exactly what what was his problem. I know it was like a lifelong thing for him. Um, but then, it makes me wonder, like, if he'd had you to help him, like, could it have been better? Or,
Hmm.
and he needed help from my grandmother to get around just the house before he passed, and so I know from at least my own personal imagination of that scenario how impactful that could be. So I'm just curious if you have any stories you could share of situations like that.
So I have a couple that I have two specific that come to mind right now. Two in the water and one on land, actually, because I also do just land training for
Hmm.
people. So, anyways, um, I have a woman came to me after bariatric surgery. She came into my class, walked into my class, introduced myself, talked to her. She burst into tears. This happens all the time. Um, Turns out, like I said, she had bariatric surgery, struggling to recover from that. She had the bariatric and a bunch of EMS paramedics.
I lost you for a minute, Debbie. Can you
Oh,
go back like a phrase or two?
okay. So I have a woman. Her name is Suzanne, and she came to me after bariatric surgery. She came into one of my group classes, and just kind of fell apart on me. So I got her whole history. What had happened was her bariatric surgery happened because she actually shattered her femur.
Okay.
Uh, Not long before that, she fell down an embankment, and paramedics could not get her up the embankment because of her weight. And she couldn't assist them because of the severity of the shatter of
Right.
the leg. And she was in excruciating pain. So she had surgery, they put her back together, and they put her in a rehab center. So now she's surrounded by people much, much older than her. So she was 60 at the time.
Hmm.
Um, so, anyways, bariatric surgery. She's with me. She wants to start swimming again. She used to be a swimmer. Her goal was to be a lifeguard where I worked. So I'm like, all right, let's do it. So we worked together, worked together, worked together. Got her swimming. She got her lifeguarding cert. Did that. Um, Went on just, and I'll cut that story super short. She just went on to compete in her first Masters swim events. So she competed in 6 swimming events just in August.
That's great.
Pretty awesome. So, yep, she's one of them. Another, I have a gentleman who's had 3 strokes, had a hip replacement, knee replacement. He's a retired Major League Baseball umpire. He
Okay.
actually stroked on the field. He has major visual disturbances and terrible, terrible vertigo. So he came to me out of therapy. He could not, they call it cornering. He couldn't walk around a corner. If he went to turn a corner, he would fall over. And they were worried about him breaking another hip. So he was dependent on a walker. He could not drive.
So
And
what do you know what causes that? Like what
that he
like
couldn't
right,
corner,
that he couldn't like what was it,
couldn't
just his
walk up.
sense of balance, or
Yeah, it was balance and his visual disturbances
okay, okay.
and vertigo. So it's a combination of a lot of things. Medications were a lot of it. So he wasn't safe. Like he wasn't safe to drive, and he wanted to drive. That was his goal. He wanted to be able to go back to a baseball game with his umpire buddies and watch a game. Go to a Michigan University of Michigan football game. That was his goal. His goal was to be able to play with his grandchildren. So it was simple goals. So he did not want to get in the water. Let me tell you, he wouldn't talk to me at first. He was forced, but he was one of these. So the cognitive problems from a stroke were very, very evident.
Mm-hmm.
His skin was ashen. He was in bad shape. So we got him driving. We got him being able to walk up and downstairs, balance. We would play basketball in the water. Eye hand coordination, got all
Mm-hmm.
that down.
Mm-hmm.
Did a lot of strengthening, stamina, endurance. He had no endurance. When he first came to me, it was a struggle for him to tell me a story. He would just trail off. Now he's like on point, bam, bam, bam. But he drives. He's able to stay home alone. Um, it's super, super cool what he can do now. Go to baseball games, have a life, go up north to their cabin. So they're probably my two most extreme stories.
You, so the end of that kind of made me think about um, there's always a debate between like are we our minds, are we something else, are we our body, like and the whole mind body connection. So do you see that often? I mean, obviously, you talked about the increased blood circulation helping cognitive behavior, but or improvement, I guess. Do you see that mind body connection more directly with the people you work with?
I see it a lot. And what I see, the first thing that lists is depression.
Okay.
So once they get in the water, especially if they've been inactive for any period of time, the first thing that happens is most of their medications, I have to send them back to their doctor to get their medications adjusted because that circulation changes a lot of the level of meds they need to be on,
Hmm.
especially if we're working on endurance and stamina. So blood pressure medications come down, cholesterol medications typically come down, pain medications come down, so that all of the side effects of those medications are varied for a lot of people. But when you reduce the medication, you reduce the side effects. So their world opens up. And then I do crazy things like I have three guys right now with back fusions,
Okay.
two totals and one partial fusion. And I make sure they come to me kind of back to back. So I'll have one at 1 o'clock, one at 2 o'clock, one at 3 o'clock. So, or I overlap them so they become friends
Okay.
because these people all feel alone. So
Yeah.
I try to connect them so they now have a buddy. And then they start coming at this. Well, you don't mind if I come when, so and so's here. No, I don't mind. Come.
Yeah.
And and then because they feel alone. A lot of some of the population I work with live alone, you know, and they've got nobody. So that's my other. So I have a number of roles: fitness, psychology, you know, um, I'm their sounding board.
Hmm.
It's cool because I see people connect,
Yeah.
you know, in that 50 and up environment. They connect and make friendships and keep coming. And my thing is adherence. They can't always rely on me, right? I want them to remain independent. So
Right.
I want them to form friendships and live a full life, not just worry about that knee replacement, that hip, that, fall. They're worried about falling. Well, come on, let's get you back into balance and move on.
Yeah.
Go that trip to Paris. Go do whatever's on your bucket list. Do it. What do we need to do? What's our goal today?
Yeah.
Like,
Right. And
it's so
yeah.
fun. Let me turn this light on, by the way. I'm just
I mean,
really
you can. It keeps getting slightly darker where I am as well because there's a thunderstorm rolling in, just a
uh,
little bit at a time.
there we go. There, is that better? I got it right over my head.
A little different.
I don't know.
That's
Anyways, I can
okay.
turn it off. Doesn't matter.
It's
It's
fine either way.
dark. um, but yeah, so it's an interesting place where I am. That one, you know.
Yeah, I mean, I know that, like, I have a coach for, I do triathlon predominantly, although we're kind of thinking about some different goals for this year moving on. But I know that throughout my kind of sporting career, like, my coach has been my confidant because I mean, like much like you see all of your clients go through these struggles, like there's a very, I don't know if raw is the right word, but an unfiltered amount of struggling that goes on, be it through rehabilitation or through just normal athletic endeavor. I went through a little bit of rehabilitation myself after I shattered my collarbone in a race last year. So, uh,
Ouch.
yeah, yeah. Well, ouch, kind of. I hit the pavement. Um, by the time I got in the ambulance, the adrenaline was starting to wear off, and fortunately, before the pain really started to set in, then I was on pain medication. So I didn't get a whole lot of that, at least the initial shock, uh,
Right.
because of the response. But um, yeah, so it's cool to see you kind of playing, I'll say matchmaker with
Hmm.
friendships, because I know I see even people my age being like, how do I make friends as an adult? When you're in school, you're kind of forced into this group and you make friends, but then like once we're out here, now what?
Right, right. Well, you know what, realized over time is that I've always connected people.
Hmm.
Always. I'm like, oh wait, you should meet them because they have this in common with you. And what I see in this population I work with is a lot of fear. Fear of fear of I'm never going to recover from this.
Hmm.
um, Fear of, oh my gosh, I'm unsteady on the stairs and I'm afraid I'm going to fall, so I'm going to move, and they make these drastic decisions. So a lot of it is fear driven, and then once they're around somebody else that um, is has experienced it or is positive, they try not to connect negative to negative, you know,
Hmm.
and then they work through it and they realize a they're not alone in their thinking, their how they're living, what their fears are, and b they can together with somebody else maybe have a workout buddy.
Yeah.
I know I do better if I have my girlfriend calling me going, are you going to work out at 5:30 in the morning? Oh man, I've had a week. All right, fine. And I go. If I'm left to my own, I'm gonna hit that snooze 15 more minutes sometimes because
Yeah.
I'm tired. Our training world is exhausting, but
Yeah.
I need to take care of me too. But sometimes, trainers need accountability people. And I tell my people that, and they look at me like I'm crazy. Like, well, you think we're any different than anybody else? We're not.
Yeah.
You know, I still have laundry to do and groceries to buy. And, I still have to stay in my life, and I
Hmm.
need my people to keep me. So I try to set them up where they have support,
Yeah.
so
I,
that's
I
just,
I think sometimes there's uh, a little bit of difference between like say hyperactive people, and I don't mean hyperactive in the terms of like they're bouncing off the walls, but I mean like somebody who can work out 20 hours a week, like a professional athlete. But compared to like a normal person, but I think the vast majority of active people have built a habit. It's not that they're like fundamentally different people. It's that they got through those initial stages of like I don't like this or whatever, found some kind of joy. That's what I often find with the people I talk to. They say I do it because I like it,
uh-huh.
and then getting to the point where it's like, okay, well this is a habit now, or this is part of who I am, and it just perpetuates itself.
Right. Right. And that's the habit that I try to get people involved in. You
Hmm.
know, I have a woman in my classes. She started several years ago. I'm trying to get her to be an instructor. She's 70 and she could instruct.
Hmm.
And she came into my class and told me how much she hated exercise. Nothing wrong with her. She's perfectly able-bodied.
Hmm.
She worked behind a desk at home. She was an editor, in her own home. She needed to get out. She needed exercise, or she was going to end up on medications.
Hmm.
And she wasn't really overweight, but she did need to lose a few pounds. Nothing major. But she came to me and said, I hate exercise. You need to understand I hate it. I said, okay, well, let's go. And she works out 5 days a week minimum.
Hmm.
Um, she wants her class how she wants it. She's really funny.
Hmm.
Well, I think you should do this and this and this and this. This is why I want her to be an instructor. But she's somebody who never exercised in her life and hates doing it on land. and
Hmm.
she loves aquatic exercise. And she came to me not too many months after she started because she found her bicep. Look at, I have a bicep now. You know, and we celebrated her success. She found a bicep. You know, so it's like the gamut of, I see the gamut of things, but everybody's success is to be celebrated.
Yeah, and you know, and I feel like to me this is a truism in my own life, and we'll see how what you think about it. But I always say, um, so like not everybody can be. You know, I often talk to some very competitive athletes. I'm talking professional athletes, high level amateurs. Not everybody can be world champion,
Mm,
right? That's what makes it special. But I think about in terms of our own personal aptitudes, progress is happiness.
right.
So I don't know if you feel the same way about that.
I do. And I tell people all the time because they want to go from 0 to 60. Okay. Well, did you, you know, you were born, did you walk? How long before you walked? You
Hmm.
know, what did you have to do to get there? You know, you want to learn to type. How long is that going to take? I mean, you know, think about think about how long it takes to learn something. This is not going to happen overnight. It's little bits consistently. You know, focused. Well, and sometimes maybe you're going to work out and it's not going to be focused, but
Yeah.
you know, it's consistent movement in the right direction. Right? Surround yourself with the people that are going in your direction and just keep moving forward. You will get there
Hmm.
and you will keep your life. You know, you'll be able to fly off and see whoever you want to see and travel and pick up a grandkid or, you know, play golf or ride your bike or, you know, I have people, I have a lady that now is in hip surgery right now. 2 years ago, she's in her 80s. She was sliding off a slide off a houseboat and she was body surfing in the ocean
Hmm.
in her 80s. I have another lady right now. She's 89, learning to swim, relearning to actually swim strokes.
Hmm.
She wants to do it. It's on her bucket list. All right, well, let's go, Nancy. Yeah, you know, she can't hear me, but she's a great visual learner.
Yeah.
So she's learning. Her buoyancy is completely different now. She's 89 years old. You know, she said, I swam great when I was 60. Okay, well, there's a couple years. Couple years have gone by, you know, but we'll figure it out. And we have, you know, and her again, her wall right now is fear. So I've got to drag her out into the deep end of the pool and get her over that and she'll be
Yeah,
going.
sure, it's gonna be okay and
Yeah. But
everything will
she
be
has to trust
fine.
me first. She
Yeah.
has to trust, you know, she's got to let go of that first. So it's interesting. It's it's so rewarding though, because every day she comes, she leaves walking a little taller. Look at me, I did that.